Howdy ho, folks. Ha! It's more Helminth time, more Helminth system time. I have for you today an exciting build. Oh, it's cool. And this is actually one of the builds I predicted would be good in a video I released before the Helminth system came out, talking about, stuff that would be, like, interesting to try out week 1, which was, like, almost guaranteed to be sort of good. I had a lot of predictions I stand by in that video. I had stuff like, Protea with Larva, which we all know is very good. Null Star Mirage, which I've done videos about before. And I also had this one, which is Elemental Ward Hildryn, specifically the Lightning element. And this is a really cool build, and it's actually better than I thought it would be. So, we are gonna go through this, and I'm gonna show you exactly how cool it is and why it is so cool. And a little caveat, and I'll show you like the mod setup right away. I am not a Hildryn main, so this is not even, like, I haven't put a lot of resource into this. This is a 0 Forma Hildryn build. I'm not even using 2 of my mod slots, so this is not optimized in any way. You could make this so much better than it already is. So I'm going to show you what it does in its very unoptimized form. Now, let's talk about Elemental Ward. Elemental Ward is the subsumed ability from Chroma, which is mostly a defensive ability, and depending on what element you give it, it does different things. And what element it will have is dependent on your emissive color. If you pick blue as your emissive color, you are going to get lightning, which is what we want. If you go for like heat, you get more health. If you go for cold, you get more armor, stuff like that. But lightning gives you more shields as one of the things it does. And what's interesting about, Hildryn, if you don't know how she works, she does not have energy. She instead has tons of shields, and she actually uses her shields to cast abilities. So, Elemental Ward in its rank 3 version, without any sort of extra ability strength or anything like that, it will give you 100% more base shields when you cast it. So now you can see that my shields are 1500. If I cast Elemental Ward, boom, now it's up. It's 2500. So it's double the base shields before any sort of mods or anything like that. So, anywho, that's number 1. And that's why I thought, so, oh, that's cool. It gives shields and stuff. Now, what Elemental Ward also does is it reflects damage in the lightning form. Whatever incoming damage I take is reflected back onto enemies as a lightning proc, so it's gonna be like a crowd control effect. It zaps them. And it'll zap a single enemy. So that's a bit important to know as well for the build. Now for the cool part, okay? For the really cool part. This is super cool. Since Hildryn uses her shields to cast abilities, technically, like, you're draining your shields when you cast an ability. Even Elemental Ward, see? It's draining my shields. Cast Pillage. That drains my shields. It drains my shields. So what that means is that for the purpose of Elemental Ward, casting an ability counts as self-damage, and it will proc the reflect damage lightning effect. It will hit an enemy. And that is the explanation for why I'm running this build with negative efficiency, because I want my abilities to cost more energy to cast, because that increases the damage back. Now, Elemental Ward. In this lightning form, as it is, the base version with 100% ability strength will cast a lightning proc with 1000% of the damage you take. With this build that I have here, that has like plus 200% ability strength, like double that, so like times 20. So, if I cast 1 pillage with this negative efficiency, 1 pillage costs 200... let's round it down. Say 200 shields to cast it. That means I will hit an enemy for 4,000 electricity damage and also stun them, which is nice. Then I am also using the classic combination of Pillage and Haven together with the Blazing Pillage augment. So, Haven, it's an aura around you. Enemies that go inside of that aura, they take radiation damage constantly. Every single tick of this. It drains more the more enemies you have around you, and for every tick that drains, it fires off an electric proc on an enemy and stuns them. Haven, it drains enemies' armor, it drains enemies' shields, it gives you shields back, it hits them for electric damage. Blazing Pillage. If you have enemies that are affected by the radiation procs from Haven, and you hit them with Pillage, they also take heat damage, and you get more shields back. So, you're hitting people with electric damage, radiation damage, heat damage, all of this from your abilities. You can combine that very nicely with a melee weapon that has a condition overload build, to hit them for impact, puncture, slash, and also one of the elements that you're not hitting them with your abilities. So you can go for toxin or something like that. And you are gonna have enemies under so many different status effects at the same time. So your elemental, or your condition overload is gonna increase your damage massively, while also pretty much stun locking enemies. So let's check what this can do. And keep in mind that this is a build that has 0 forma. I am not even using 2 of my mod slots. This is not an optimized build, so it can do even better than this. So if we plop out some corrupted heavy gunners, we activate Elemental Ward, we activate Haven, and then we just jump in and start pillaging them. As you can see, they get stunned by the electric procs from Haven. I can spam Pillage so that I'm regaining shields faster than they can hurt me. And they are melting. They are absolutely melting from this electric damage while I'm at the same time draining their armor. Now, the caveat, as you can see here, right at the end, I don't know if you paid attention at my health bar and stuff. Once enemies are out of armor, or out of shields, you can't get any sort of shields or armor back with using Pillage, which means that this actually works very poorly against Infested, because Infested do not have shields or armor, so you're not actually going to be able to drain them with Pillage. You're not going to be able to get shields back, which means you can't spam the ability. But it works against anything that has either shields or armor, and because of the fact that, once you've drained all of the armor from an enemy, you can't get anything back with casting Pillage. What that means is that this build actually works better outside of the Simulacrum than it does inside of the Simulacrum. Because you want to sort of move from enemy to enemy to enemy and just keep on draining more and more shields, draining more and more armor, spamming these abilities, hitting people with a stupid amount of different elemental procs at the same time. And if you go for Steel Path and stuff like that, just combine it with a strong melee weapon and a condition overload build, and it does very, very stupid amounts of damage, melt stuff. At the same time, you are keeping enemies pretty goddamn crowd controlled with these constant elemental procs. At the same time, you're hitting them with radiation procs, so they stop shooting at you and they start shooting their friends instead. You hit them with heat procs for even more armor stripping. It's very efficient. It's very efficient, and people are going down to this, and they're going down fast. So yeah, Thunder Goddess Hildryn. This thing works. This thing really works, and it's fun. It's fun too. So yeah, check this one out.